Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the John Johson Chronicles. Today we will be reading chapters 37 through 18. That's right, you are not misreading and I am not misspeaking. The final chapter that we will be reading is chapter 18. I'm sure all of you are losing your collective minds hearing this, as we've all been waiting for chapter 18 for quite some time now. It will be making its appearance. And this is going to be a crazy ride this time, folks, so strap in for this story time session. Chapter 37, Not Another River. JJ opened his eyes and found himself lying on a wooden boat filled with skulls. Around him, JJ heard the agonized screams of what seemed like humans. JJ was not alone. He was on the vessel with only one other person on board. His face and body were shrouded in a flowing black cloak. The mysterious figure was guiding the boat with an oar, not spelled right, made of bone. "Who are you, and where am I?" JJ asked the boatman. "I am Sharon, and I am here to guide you across the river Styx. You are about to enter the underworld, JJ. You are dead." The figure, more an entity than a man, said. JJ remembered what he had learned in college when he majored in Greek mythology, that if you didn't have coins to pay Sharon, you cannot take his vessel the entire way to hell. Well, I knew these would come in handy eventually, JJ said as he clicked the clip of his invisible fanny pack. He turned the pack upside down, and out came some coins. "Gold doubloons," a voice sang. He handed them to Sharon, who gazed at them in his bony hand. "This is chocolate, boy," Sharon said, as he spontaneously melted the chocolate into nothing in his hands. JJ, found out for his trickery, wasted no time and dove off the boat. He was near hyperventilating as his pulse raced at 825 beats per minute. He swam for his life. The water, if that's what it was searing hot, yet icy cold at the same time. Kind of like one of those... Never mind. JJ swam in pain to the nearest shoreline and ended up back in Sharon's boat. "God dang it," JJ said, whipping out his pitcher of mysterious liquid and clunking Sharon on the head with it. The entity fell off the boat and into the river, never to be seen again. JJ took the oar and turned the boat around, sailing back towards the overworld. Chapter 38. Ever heard of the Mole People? Somehow, although it goes against all his professor ever taught him in his college career, JJ managed to paddle his way back up the river Styx and reach the portal to the overworld. JJ stood up in the boat and hurled himself at the portal. He landed in what seemed like California again, minus the apocalypse. That's odd. I could have Before JJ could finish thinking out loud, he spotted a couple of construction workers in the distance doing some road work. One of the workers in particular caught JJ's eye. It was a moderately overweight man sitting upon a stoop, watching the rest of his colleagues work. JJ, a strict believer and preacher of work ethics, stomped over to the man in disbelief. He proceeded to lecture the man on what it meant to be a good, enthusiastic worker. Well, the man didn't like this. He grabbed JJ by the neck and shoved him into a nearby drill machine. The machine and the drill head made up the size of a car, and as the man shut the hatch on JJ, everything went pitch black. Soon enough, JJ felt motion around him, as outside the man had smashed a giant button that turned the drill head on. The drill promptly faced the earth and began drilling. JJ inside looked at his barometer and saw the pressure in the cabin was quickly rising. He realized that he was traveling down towards the Earth's core. Well, several hours later, JJ traveled straight through the core, the drill unhindered. It kept going, and JJ saw his barometer lower in pressure again. Another couple of hours later, all motion stopped in the drill. JJ stopped treating his toe knuckle warts with liquid nitrogen and took out his handy-dandy blowtorch. He removed the hatch off the drill and climbed out. "Is this the land of the Mole People?" JJ shouted, hoping someone, or some mole, would hear him. What JJ didn't know was that he was actually in North Korea, an internationally hostile and isolated nation. Yeah, this one's going to go down great, people. Chapter 18. Communist Conundrum. There was no way this was the land of the Mole People. JJ could tell, mainly because he was on normal terrain, not underground. This, coupled with the fact that JJ was standing in the middle of a paved air runway, led him to conclude that he was in some sort of military base. JJ's senses began to kick back in. He saw the cloudy sky that almost never let sunlight through. He felt the dry, infertile soil beneath his feet. JJ had no trouble realizing where he was. North Korea. How did he know, you might ask? Well, JJ was violently thrashing and writhing on the ground due to extreme PTSD from the Korean War. Yeah, this chapter's a bit, yeah. JJ was on the front lines during the war, teaching those commies who was boss. He was captured, however, and held for 14 years in the very same military base he ended up in today. A group of North Korean soldiers accidentally stumbled across the spasming JJ while on a routine patrol, and could only laugh at the sight of the poor excuse for a human being. The men felt such an amount of pity for JJ that they didn't even report to their commanding officer that evening what they had seen. That would be JJ's biggest break and their biggest mistake. JJ, free to convulse to his heart's content, did so until the break of dawn 2 days later. Once his rush of PTSD faded, JJ knew he had to get a few things done before the waves of terror came back for another round. Here was JJ's plan, and strap in folks because it's a long one. Step 1. Sneak around sneakily in the way of a true sneak. Step 2. Don't get caught. Step 3. Don't let anyone see you. Step 4. Don't make any noise. Step 5. Don't let anyone see you. Step 6. Reach the barracks unseen. Step 7. Stay undetected. Step 8. Remain incognito. Step 9. Take nearest flower pot. Step 10. Hide again. Step 11. Find commander. Step 12. Hit commander. Step 13. If needed, hit commander again. Step 14. If commander not present to begin with, hit highest ranking officer. Step 15. If needed, hit highest ranking officer again. Step 16. Drag body out in the open. Step 17. Call in Spec Ops. Step 18. Realize Spec Ops can't infiltrate North Korea. Step 19. Confront approaching North Korean army. Step 20. Run away. Holy moly. Though he considered it to be too simple to cause any significant damage to North Korea, JJ knew this plan was enough to disrupt the airstrip he was at. JJ had been waiting years for this, for his vengeance. There was no time to waste. JJ prepared himself for the most intense mission he would ever carry out, ever since that one he went on as a part of Indigo Company during the Desert Storm War. He inhaled, and he exhaled. He meditated for 15 minutes. Then, ready for action, JJ cracked his knuckles very loudly. This caused an EMP blast that simultaneously shut down all communication arrays and radar in the area. BAM! JJ yelled in a whisper. In nanoseconds, the BAM was amplified by about 1,000 decibels. The sound would have blown out JJ's eardrums had he not been a robot. Just kidding, he's not a robot. Ha! Got you. Got you good. JJ actually was wearing some supersonic resistant earmuffs. The BAM shattered all brittle material in the area, including any brittle metals. To the communist troops in the surrounding area, this BAM sounded like someone blew up a hydrogen bomb right next to their ears. Men were running about to and fro, flipping shites. JJ went prone and crawled behind a nearby dumpster. Catching his breath, JJ climbed into the dumpster and closed the lid. He let the surrounding soldiers' suspicion levels plummet to near nothing, and exited the dumpster. Must have been the wind, JJ heard a nearby soldier say in Korean. I can also not speak Korean similar to Russian. I'm sorry, people. The man's ears were leaking blood, and his head was impaled by a piece of shrapnel. Man, I wish headshots meant something around here, JJ whispered, observing the man's seemingly mortal injuries. Chapter 18. Continued. Clown World. Just a quick note, people, I did rewrite this chapter. It was Not entirely, but partially, because it was a bit, let's say, iffy for YouTube, and I just think this fits better. I actually kind of like it better, too. JJ was lucky, beyond that of a lucky leprechaun, in the way that Kim Jong-un happened to be visiting the military base that afternoon. A super-duper stretched limo, reminiscent of that which Jeff owned, pulled into the compound and stopped in view of the dumpster JJ was staking out in. Out of the limpo stepped not only just Kim Jong-un, but someone completely unexpected. President Fugger right in the pussy. Wow! JJ exclaimed, jumping out of the dumpster and grabbing Jeff by his shirt. You were supposed to be dead, JJ hollered. You pickled the wrong man, JJ, Jeff said, high-fiving Kim Jong. I thought we were friends, Jeff, JJ cried. Not anymore. You mixed yourself up in a bad situation, JJ, Jeff retorted coldly, pulling a revolver out of his waist holster. JJ skillfully disarmed Jeff the instant he saw the very tip of the gun reveal itself. He aimed it at the two leaders. JJ, listen to me, JJ. That revolver, it isn't what you think it is, Jeff pleaded. If you fire that, you have no idea what... JJ cut Jeff off. No, Jeff, I do know what will happen. You forget who I am. Jeff put his head down, accepting the fate that was now upon him. JJ shook his head in sorrow and fired. Out of the revolver came the sound of a clown horn and a small little flag. Confetti blasted everywhere, and a brilliant rainbow light streamed from the barrel of the pistol. A North Korean soldier tried to shield Kim Jong from the stream of light, but it passed straight through his head, then straight through Kim Jong-un's head, then into Jeff. All three men were enveloped in a radiant rainbow haze. Oh, baby, a triple! JJ shouted in glee. There's a vintage meme for you. Within moments, the haze faded, and where the three men had been hit stood three magnificent clowns, decked out in full clown gear. A massive shadow appeared above the surrounding Korean army, as a huge, and I mean huge, circus tent slammed into the ground. Instantly, circus music began blaring out of the airbase speakers. The entire Korean army took seats in the tent and watched as the three clowns performed the best goddamn circus act they had ever seen. I'd describe it, but I'm too lazy. It was at this moment that the North Korean generals used their combined power, and some talks involving cotton candy, to officially declare this new land Clown World. Since Kim Jong-un and Jeff had lost their memories and were but simple clowns, JJ was declared the founder and de facto leader, owner, of Clown World. JJ was not one for leadership, however, and handed down his power to the most trusted friend he had, Ronald McDonald. His country under new management, JJ felt content to continue in his search for bath salts, and he knew just where to continue his search. That's it, everyone. We will find out where JJ will continue his search in the next video. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying the series. Check out the playlist as usual. We got all the other videos in it. It's on my channel, Noodles Night Train. Stay tuned. I'll see you all later.